we'll collect them sure, we can start.
Good morning, everybody. I'm John Borowski. I'm the chair of the Eugene Chamber's Local Government Affairs Committee. Thanks for coming this morning. We're going to do a candidate forum for mayor this morning. As Tiffany just said, she's got some prepared questions that she's going to ask all of the candidates. If you have other questions, write them down on a card and bring them up to me. Send them over to me and I'll make sure she gets them and enjoy it. And thank you to all of our participants for getting up so early on a Thursday morning.
Awesome.
Pass it off to Tiff.
Thank you. Real quick, I'm just admitting a few more people in our Zoom audience this morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Eugene Chamber of Commerce's Mayoral Candidate Forum. I'm Tiffany Edwards, for those of you who don't know. I'm the Vice President of Policy and Community Development for the Chamber. This morning, we are welcoming the candidates running for Eugene's mayor. The seat is currently held by Lucy Venice, who is not seeking re-election. So I'm going to start this morning by thanking each of you for being here with us this morning. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to hearing about your thoughts and ideas for the future of Eugene. Today's forum features both in-person and a virtual audience. So I'm going to keep my eye on those folks there. And we are recording it, so in hopes to put it up on our website. And we have a new owl today, so we don't have a fuzzy camera. It's on loan, but we very much appreciate it. So for now. So our format today, we're going to start with each of the candidates having 2 minutes to introduce themselves and provide an opening statement. And then I'm going to ask a series of questions that they have all had an opportunity to prepare in advance for. And then followed by those questions, if you were here last week, they're very similar. We're going to move to questions from the audience. And so as I mentioned, if you have a question or you think you might, grab a card and then John's going to help kind of collect those and we'll try to get those asked. And then we're going to wrap up in time for each of you, our candidates, to have 2 minutes for their closing statements. And Heather in the back is going to be keeping time. And so she is going to hold up a 15-second card when there's 15 seconds left. And then that's our timer, time's up. And it'll be discreet, but we'll just ask that you kind of wrap up that thought. And so with that, are there any questions from anybody? Burning questions before we get started? All right, well, what we're going to do is we'll start at this end with Stefan, and then we'll move down, and then we're going to alternate who goes first, if that's okay. And I'm going to keep track with the pen this time. All right. So if you wouldn't mind, we'll give you the opportunity to get started and give us, tell us about yourself and why you're running, and start with that.
So, well, my name is Stefan Streck, and I've lived in Eugene since 1999. So it's been pretty fulfilling experience, just growing up with the city and seeing just such a consistent culture of people who are active and caring about the community. It's a really unique city, and I've been really very proud of the experience here. Doesn't matter whether I've been to Sydney or Paris, London, or Amsterdam. I've been very proud to tell people I'm from Eugene, Oregon, and we have just some of the most beautiful parks in the world and really big ideas here. So this is not my first run for office. I first started this back in 2016 and really learned a lot. It's been kind of like running my own personal triathlon marathon with learning everybody else's priorities and what really makes the city tick and gets each community going in the morning. So I really hope that we can create Eugene as a 21st century city and make us a real hub that competes with Seattle, San Francisco, New York, just on a very real level where high-income net worth individuals can settle down and raise families, start new businesses, and I think we can all do that together. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Sinead, we'll go to you.
Yeah. Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Sinead Joy Stringer, and I am proud to be before you as a candidate for mayor of the city of Eugene. I have been so proud to be a member of this community and contribute in a variety of roles ranging from volunteer, community advocate, board member, educator, and so much more. It is in these roles that, it is in these roles that I've been able to gauge a unique insight into the various voids and gaps that exist for so many in our community, which is why in my professional experience, I worked so hard here to create partnerships with organizations ranging from LTD, LCC, Looking Glass, and the Eugene Public Library, among others, to increase opportunities and resources while removing barriers for youth, young adults, and families. I have seen the richness and diversity that this community has to offer, which is why I want to ensure that every voice is heard and resident is represented in our local governance. I want you to know that your concerns matter and they surely matter to me, which is why as your mayor, I will work tirelessly to build bridges and build better partnerships in order to tackle the multiple crises that we currently face. As an educator, entrepreneur, and renter, I bring a plethora of experience, innovative ideas, and wise resource management to the office of mayor. I want you to know that our slogan, Moving Eugene Forward, is not happenstance, but because I knew that it required forward movement, forward thinking, bold, actionable steps to address the crisis that our community currently faces. And so I'm not seeking the office of mayor simply because I was asked to, but surely encouraged to do so, but because I truly care about this community. I care about its people. I care about what access and resources people have access to. And so I know that I am the best fit for this role. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Lauren, we'll move to you.
Sure. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to folks who are with us online. My name is Karin Knutson, and I am an architect and an educator, housing advocate, and a parent of 2 kids in 4J schools. And I hope to earn your vote to be Eugene's next mayor. I believe so much in this community's bright future, and I've worked and volunteered in this community over 20 years. So I bring remarkable experience, expertise, relationships, and truly a depth of connection in this community that I think will be a huge asset as we move forward into this new chapter. We as a community face real challenges, but I see all of those as extraordinary opportunities for us. We need to meet our housing needs in the years ahead. We need to address the crisis of homelessness so present in our community and on our city's streets, ensure our public spaces remain beautiful and safe and welcoming and accessible to our full community, and build a healthy local economy where our workers, where our businesses have what they need to succeed, where people can truly feel at home here and feel so excited to be setting down and growing their roots in Eugene. As a local architect, I've spent much of this past decade working on our housing crisis, building a community coalition and partnering with community coalitions to address that crisis. And what I have seen in that work is that when we decide to come together, to focus on what really matters, to engage the real challenges of the issues that we face, it is possible to make progress, and it is possible to deliver innovative policy and new solutions in this community. As Eugene's future mayor, I am excited to continue that trajectory. I know that my background is unique. The experience I have in this community and professionally is unique. And I think that that will be an asset and a strength that I will bring to that office every day. So we are just a couple of weeks away from the election now, and I hope to earn your vote before May 21st. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you all. So we'll move into our regular questions now. I've got 10 questions, and candidates have been instructed for, they've got 60-second or 1-minute response times for each of these. And we'll start with Sinead, and then Karin, and then Stefan. So Sinead, what do you believe is the biggest challenge facing Eugene, and how do you plan to address it?
So I believe that the city is currently facing multiple challenges, and none is bigger than the other because they all are in fact interconnected. On our campaign website, we allow visitors to identify what matters most to them. Homelessness and housing is what's selected most frequently. But in order to address those challenges, we must also identify and address those current underlying and contributing factors, which are the need for greater employment, which offer living wages, also for expansion to mental health support, as well as substance abuse treatment options. As mayor, I believe that I would respond to those needs and challenges by ensuring that we are prioritizing organizations that provide housing and substance abuse mental health treatment concurrently, making sure that we are responding to rental rates that reflect our current AMI, as well as leading the charge as a city to ensure we're providing living wages to our employees and subcontractors.
Great, all right. And I'm happy to read the question again for everybody. So Karin, what do you believe is the biggest challenge facing Eugene and how do you plan to address it?
Our housing crisis is one of the reasons why I'm running for mayor. 10 years of work and 20 years of expertise in that arena gives me, I think, a unique perspective on the depth of that challenge and the complexity of that challenge, but also is part of the reason why I feel so confident in our ability to meet it. When you think about what our community gains by addressing its housing crisis and addressing the high incidence of homelessness in this community, that is economic development work, it's climate action work, it is some of the most meaningful and significant work we can do to advance racial justice in our community. And that's work that I've been committed to for this past 20 years in Eugene. When thinking about how we will actually do that, it'll take a couple of different forms. A housing initiative in Eugene needs to look at different types of outcomes. One of them, focus on compact housing in downtown and a concentration of residential opportunities there, and also focus on age-friendly housing across our neighborhoods.
Okay, great, thank you. Stefan, what do you believe is the biggest challenge facing Eugene and how would you plan to address it?
Well, it's not just about what I believe, it's about what people are really speaking out about and raising as their priorities. And yeah, I mean, housing is one thing that people are really speaking out about. Just about 12 years ago, I rented a 3-bedroom house for $795, and that was just right on Willamette Street. Now we've got 2-bedroom apartments going for twice that much. And that's making things unaffordable for low-income workers. I mean, it's pretty necessary for people to have a home if they're going to have a base to go to work from and keep everyone's business running. But for the question about what's most important for me, it's the really serious, just widespread sanitation issues from people not having any public facilities and the drug use. Just the other day, I saw people just openly using drugs just a block away from South Eugene High School. That really hurt me. I know I'm not the only one.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, my next question, we'll start with Karin. The Chamber's mission is to support a strong, vibrant economy, which enables individuals to live happy, healthy lives. What do you think businesses need for a strong local economy? And what do you feel the role of the mayor is in supporting local business?
Thank you for this question. The mayor has a very unique role in our community, and as our only citywide elected official, also has an expansive role. There really is no scope and no edge to the responsibilities that Eugene's mayor carries. And one of those responsibilities is making sure that our local businesses feel supported and that we have strong relationships between the city and local business so that we together are working on our shared mission, which is this is a fantastic community and a wonderful place to live and to work. To actually accomplish that and support that as mayor, there's some very specific things that I can be a part of championing. When I talk with small businesses and small business owners around this community, one of the most significant challenges that they're currently facing has to do with their concerns about our homelessness crisis, that they see the human rights challenge, the lack of opportunity people have, but also the direct impact it has on their businesses. And so finding a way to address that policy and make sure that people have safe places to be so that our businesses can also be accessible is really important.
All right, thank you. Stefan, we'll go to you next. The Chamber's mission is to support a strong, vibrant economy, which enables individuals to live happy, healthy lives. What do you think businesses need for a strong local economy? And what do you feel the role of the mayor is in supporting local businesses?
So excellent, thank you. I feel that what's most important in regards to the business community is making sure that your investment and taxes and time put into this community is protected and rewarded with a return on investment. So, I mean, to me, it seems like there's a lot of money being wasted, like with the only toilet they built recently downtown cost something like $500,000. I feel like we should get a bit more return. Down at the park blocks, it's not even usable often. So what I'd like to make sure that everyone's money is being put to use best is a public audit of the budget. And I don't know if anyone would be particularly opposed to that, but I think it really serves a purpose to get everything out in the open for everybody to see where their money's going, where it can be spent better, where we can have a better return. So public audit of the budget. I'd like to make that a priority. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefan. Okay, Shanae,
Thank you.
I was gonna say, I'll read it again unless you don't need me to.
That's fine, thank you.
Sure.
As a small business owner who believes that our local businesses truly are the backbone of our local economy, as mayor, it is so important that I ensure that every business owner knows that no matter where your business is located in the city, that you matter and that you are provided with adequate support and investment in order for you to thrive. I believe that it's so important that we provide improvements to our transit network, which can assist with the attracting of additional drivers so that we can increase routes and the frequencies of services, which would create more accessibility for patrons as well as clients and help us meet our Climate 2.0 goals. I also support greater investment in our technology infrastructure. With the modernization of technology, it allows for modernization of services being offered. I also want to ensure our business owners that they can exist within clean and safe districts in order to draw additional patrons.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you all. My next question, we'll start with Stefan first. Eugene's crisis around housing affordability, supply, and diversity of housing types has had a dire impact to businesses. What strategies to improve these would you support, and what new ideas do you bring to the role as mayor?
It's really apparent that people in Eugene want to develop, just a diversity of housing, definitely, but subsidizing the building of ADUs for senior citizen-owned properties would, help them provide housing to family that really needs it with less red tape. And talking to people in building, so far as speeding up the permit process, it seems the rain garden permit and the soil erosion permits are a bit inconvenient and take several months longer than necessary. So if those could really be looked at just to see, how can we make this less of a headache for builders and not slow down the building process, that seems pretty fair. And that's, a direct solution. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Same question for Shanae. Do you need me to read it?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. As the granddaughter of individuals who own multiple investment properties that served as affordable housing options for many, and a current renter in this community, the housing crisis is not only important, but it is actually personal to me. As a city, we must do internal review of any policies and ordinances that have actually served as barrier to our housing diversity and supply. It is so important that every voice is heard and represented in our decision-making process. And a city that has 51% of renters in its demographic, that should be reflected proportionally on commissions and boards that actually address housing. I believe that we also must maximize our revenue for the construction through a construction excise tax so that we increase our affordable housing trust fund. And in talking to union members that represent the city employees, we must increase our options for first-time homeowner assistance for everyday run-of-the-mill individuals, including our city employees.
Great, thank you. Karen, same question.
Thank you for this question. And I just have to say, it actually brings joy to my heart to see the words affordability, diversity, and supply in a question about our community's housing needs. Because that mission of Better Housing Together, to work collaboratively to increase the affordability, diversity, and supply of housing in our communities. That's the nonprofit organization and the public interest project that I founded 8 years ago and work with more than 50 local partners on every week. And it shows me that we are changing the conversation that we're having about housing in a way that will allow us to be effective. And I think that that is a great sign for us as a community. When I look at the work that we've been able to accomplish over this past many years and the work that I've been doing, that has been from outside of politics, but has led to the most significant policy changes and new investments in housing affordability and diversity of housing supply in our community in its history. It's the most pro-affordability and pro-racial justice housing reforms that we've ever accomplished, and I will continue that work. I only have seconds, so I'm going to find a way to add this into my next answer.
We'll look forward to that. Okay, so Sinead, we'll start with you for this next question. Many Eugene Chamber members have expressed that improving downtown is a top priority for their businesses. What do you think needs to be improved downtown, and how will you work to make that happen?
Thank you for this question. As a resident and renter who currently resides downtown, I know what I want to see and experience when I walk outside our door. Our downtown area is and should be a hub for people to live, work, and play. I would like to see a clean and safe district downtown, which will require dedicated staff that is focused on making sure our streets and right-of-ways are clean and safe for business and social interactions. This dedicated staff would also be expected to collaborate with businesses and stakeholders in order to foster partnerships to collectively address cleanliness and safety concerns in the downtown area. Therefore, creating an environment that is conducive to increase visitation from out-of-town guests, our local residents, those who work downtown, and ensure that we are able to create greater generation of revenue. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, same question, Karen. What do you think needs to be improved downtown, and how will you make that happen?
So this is a great transition or a great connection back to that last question, because downtown has a critical role to play in how our community addresses its housing crisis. It is a place in our community where compact development, the concentration of different types of residential buildings and residential unit types is easily accomplished within the built environment. And when you look at our downtown and the health of our downtown, what is missing from that ecosystem is housing. What's missing is residents and the people who make that place a neighborhood. So when I think about downtown, its priority for businesses, it's critical that we add housing, thousands of units of new housing to our downtown core. I might be the only person in the community who says that with such confidence. Thousands of units of new housing in our downtown core. That is actually what our city center needs in order to be a healthy and self-sustaining place. And that is the work of this next decade. When we set measurable goals, when we set targets that we can work against, we have a way to evaluate our progress. And downtown needs that kind of focus with a housing initiative to support its health.
Thank you. Stefan, what do you think needs to be improved downtown, and how would you work to make that happen?
I really love Eugene downtown. It's definitely seen some big changes over the years. We don't have the big pits down there anymore, and I really think we've got some strong strong to work on with the library. It's a real shame that it's at risk of losing funding. I think they've already lost over $1 million in funding recently, and proposed another 400,000 in cuts from the library, and that's pretty inexcusable. It's a really valuable resource that could be used to network with other social services to get people the help they need, instead of just having them pass out on the pavement in the doorway. That's not right. And if we actually use the resources we've got and apply how they can work with others, our downtown can really shine and be a real attractor. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next question is about economic development. We'll start with Karen. Investments in economic development opportunities are a powerful tool that the city has, leveraging public dollars to attract private investment. This in turn helps to create jobs, boost economic activity, and ultimately bring new tax revenues to support the city's general fund. How will you prioritize projects and opportunities that support economic vibrancy?
Thank you for this question. I've worked on public-private partnerships, And so I understand that dynamic and the relationships, and also the different things that those partners need that are unique in those relationships. And when I think about the city's role in economic development, I think about two kind of different large buckets of work. One of those is just the work of the mayor every day as one of our city's leaders to ensure that this is a great place to live, that this is a place where workers want to remain, that this is a place where small businesses want to, as I mentioned earlier, put down their roots and grow the opportunities that they see here. And the ways in which the mayor can support that are multiple. Obviously, housing affordability is critical to that. That is a competitive issue that we need to address as a community, but also the quality of our public spaces, the quality of our schools. These are reasons why families and people in their mid-career decide to be in a place and begin a business in a place. The other large area of work in the last 3 seconds relates to the different kinds of tools that we can use to build those partnerships and the way that we can build trust through the use of those tools.
Okay, Stefan, same question. How do you prioritize projects and opportunities that support economic vibrancy?
Excellent. This goes back to my previous answer about just how the city can really use our most powerful resources to create an environment where people feel not just safe, but confident to invest in. For example, there's a top story in the library, which is pretty much unused at the moment. It was being rented for city manager services, but I think it's probably a pretty excellent view up there. And we can rent the space out for like a cafe and lounge, which I think would be really cool and help drive more traffic to the library and to downtown in general. On that similar note, we can have a bus to and from the airport so that people don't have to deal with the hectic scheduling of taxis and relying on a stranger off the internet to get to the airport, and just really keep the city actually it's about taking our assets and really using them to the fullest and getting the best bang for the buck. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sinead, same question. How would you prioritize projects and opportunities that support economic vibrancy?
Thank you. As mayor, I would engage in a campaign that allows for city leadership and I to work directly with residents and business owners to identify what should in fact be prioritized for our local economic development. I want to seek public interest and discourse through multiple opportunities of engagement, ranging from hosting town halls, creating focal groups, and attending neighborhood association meetings. These efforts would be helpful in identifying the most valuable ideas that are actually widely supported in the emerging stages, as well as the planning process that would follow. I will work alongside our city council, city management, and employees to support and implement those ideas that have been deemed priority and generate the greatest return of investment. As a result of intentional efforts to include the public interest in our decision-making process for our local economy.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so this next question is about business. We'll start with Stefan. Stefan, how would you involve the voice of business in the decision-making process for issues that affect our community to ensure that the city's regulatory policies are practical and effective?
Solid. Well, just real direct communication with the people that are on the ground actually affected by the policies. Like, I was talking with the builder who explained that for the soil erosion permit for building, it's a holdup because it's required to explain where the trucks for the job are going to park, but there's not really a space on the form that's to fill that in. So just fixing these redundancies that create headaches for people that are just trying to run business. And I mean, there's already enough competition out there in the world that people don't need to compete with the permit issuers just to get a job done. That's seems pretty common sense and straightforward. Just listen to what people are saying instead of just directing them to a focus group. I mean, that shouldn't be so hard.
Great. Sinead, same question.
Thank you. As mayor and someone who holds certification in equity practice, it is important to me that we ensure that every voice is heard and resident is represented in our decision-making processes. It is imperative that we actively solicit diverse perspectives when addressing matters that impact the city and its residents, which is inclusive of business owners ranging from the budding entrepreneurs to those who are more established CEOs. As there are increased efforts to diversify representation on boards, commissions, and task force, I support business owners' active participation and engagement so that their voice is reflected in our collaborative processes that have been curated by the city. I do want to work with our current city administration to generate an analysis of current regulation and practices so that we can actually ensure that we are increasing our efficiency and effectiveness. I also would love to survey business owners to see what your experience has been in order for us to make sure we are meeting your needs. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Karen, same question. Go ahead. Yeah.
This question has been important to me since the start of this campaign. When I launched my campaign last fall and summer and was making the decision to run for mayor, when I made that decision, it was with the confidence that we as a community were going to become stronger, more beautiful, more equitable, more opportunity rich. And that in order to actually do that and to actually meet the goals that we've set out for ourselves, which are ambitious in almost every area, it is critical that our community be working together. So last fall, when I launched my campaign and I was first reaching out to many community leaders, many close friends and sharing this news, one of the other first calls that I made was to our business community to let them know that I was running for mayor and that I was actively seeking their endorsement. Why does this matter? Because the way that you run your campaign is practice for how you will serve. And when I think about the work that we have before us as a community, it's incredibly important the mayor be constantly reaching out, connecting people, bringing us together and helping us to make critical progress.
Great, thank you. All right, this next question, we'll start with Shanae. Shanae, the mayor rarely casts a vote other than to break a tie, but holds an important leadership role. What do you feel the mayor's role as a leader, and how will you work with the city staff and city councilors to set Eugene on a path to prosperity?
Thank you. As mayor, my vision to move Eugene forward requires me to be a vocal and accessible advocate that ensures all voices are heard, ideas are valued, and decisions are made collectively. I will lead by example, setting a tone of respect, empathy, and accountability so that Eugene can remain a space for business growth and development, a city where everyone thrives and their quality of life has surely been enhanced, and opportunities for the current and next generation are in fact plentiful. Working closely and collaboratively with our city council and staff, my ideas that have been shared today in my platform address access to resources, opportunities, and essential services will surely set Eugene and its residents on its path to prosperity.
Great. So Karen, same question. How will you work with city staff and city councilors to set us on a path to prosperity?
Thank you. Eugene's mayor's role is incredibly unique. The responsibility that person carries is incredibly unique. And I spoke about this a little bit a few weeks ago when I made a presentation to LGAC another early morning presentation, talking about honestly the difference between leadership and direct authority. And when you think about the role of leadership and the role of Eugene's mayor, it really is that work of pushing and pulling and leading and risking and helping people to have a clear understanding of the problems that we are trying to solve and agreement about what the challenge that we are trying to address is so that the solutions that we deploy can be effective, right? If we're not clear about the problems that we're trying to address, what we're trying to accomplish, the solutions we will have a hard time agreeing on and have a hard time evaluating whether or not they are effective. So when I think about my approach to this work, I've proven myself to be a collaborator. I've proven myself to be a person who understands partnership and the ways in which we can work together. I bring great expertise to this role in ways that are relevant to the mayor, and I will always bring integrity into that office and into the work we do every day.
Thank you. Stefan, same question. How would you work with the city staff and city councilors to set Eugene on a path to prosperity?
the city council and the city managers have they've got a tough job. Been a little bit critical at some points, but I mean, we all deserve the right to be a little critical of things we might disagree with. But I think that there's a lot of strength of character there, in them as individuals. And I think with some, just team building exercises, we can get them to, I know that sounds silly, but honestly, I think they're all great people and could really work together to do a lot more than we've seen up to now. They really do a good job of looking out for their direct constituency, like localized within the ward. And if there was just a more cohesive vision, just to figure out like, what do they each really want personally? I think we can see some pretty positive change close on the horizon. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, we're getting close. Question number 8. We'll start with Karin. Karin, what strategies or measures will you consider to enhance public safety in our neighborhoods and our business areas?
It's an important question and it's on a lot of people's minds right now. One area of work that I'll just raise briefly is some coalition work that the chamber has initiated to address the crisis of homelessness in our community and also to understand how the visibility of homelessness and also the challenges that people who are currently homeless, but also people who are impacted by behaviors of people who are currently unhoused. That work is ongoing. It has been ongoing for a couple of years. And I think that is going to help us to take some critical steps in these coming months even. When I think about the measures and strategies that we can utilize to enhance public safety, I think, of course, partnership with our community safety and public safety officers is critical, but also partnership with our nonprofit partners, because de-escalation and also non-emergency crisis response, those are critical supports. Organizations, of course, like Cahoots, but also community-supported shelters, which allows for people to have a place to know they can safely be. These are supports to that same challenge and that same question of how it is that we are going to ensure that our community is safe and that our public spaces are accessible to people for what they need to use them for.
Thank you. Stefan, same question. What strategies or measures will you consider to enhance public safety in our neighborhoods and business areas?
Well, this is something I'm really familiar with as a question because it wasn't too long ago, just about 9 years ago, I lived down next to Whitebird and really saw 12th and Ferry, just pretty blatant career troublemakers, to put it lightly. And this city is really putting a lot of effort in that's often going unappreciated by the people that are taking advantage of the kindness of this city's people. I mean, I think it's worth floating the question, like, does Eugene need its own jail so we don't have to contract out to Springfield? Like, if we're going to actually help the woman in their 60s that are living out on the curb, have been abandoned by everybody, do we actually need a real remedy that can be used to punish people that are just committed to theft and drug abuse and show no incentive for change? Thank you.
Okay, great. Janae, same question. What would you do to enhance public safety in our neighborhoods and business areas?
Thank you. As mayor, public safety is and should be a priority. I do want to hear from our public safety leadership and staff, city management, business owners, and residents to understand what they believe are the best methods to address our current public safety needs, which can surely vary from ward to ward. I would like to see community policing, increasing engagement with business owners and residents in order to build stronger relationships with each other so that we can increase the safety of the places that we live and work in. I support increasing our mobile mental health units and staff so that we can adequately address the needs of those that are experiencing crisis. I also support the increase of the publishing of our hate and bias report annually to quarterly, so that there's more public awareness of any upticks and trends against residents that are part of marginalized groups and protected class.
Thank you. All right, question number 9, we start with Stefan. Stefan, what is your long-term vision for Eugene? And how will you ensure that your decisions provide a vibrant, sustainable community for future generations?
I really want Eugene to provide the same opportunities for everybody that I've been able to really be fulfilled by here. And then to, fix the roadblocks that, slowed me down on the way. We really need a safer community. And, it goes down to increasing efficiency on a lot of points. I mean, our bus system is really great, and it's important to have that actually be accessible. So that way, senior citizens, people with disabilities, youth going to school aren't stuck downtown from missing the last bus. And it's important that people can get out to spend what money they have when they actually have the time available. Buses on the weekends. And, making us an actual, like I said, a 21st century city with an active downtown library and a bus to and from the airport. So we can just get more events. Thank you.
Thank you. Janae, same question. What's your long-term vision for Eugene, and how will you ensure that your decisions provide a vibrant, sustainable community for future generations?
Thanks. As future mayor who will work to move Eugene forward so that our future generation inherits a city that is truly a great place for the arts and outdoors, I envision a city where housing is a right and not a luxury, that there are sustainable practices that are reflected in our government agencies, businesses, as well as our homes, where government operates efficiently and effectively on behalf of all residents, that youth in this community, which are our future, have access to educational and workforce development opportunities in order to remain and be successful, and that we are sourcing locally, and that is prioritized so that dollars continuously flow within our local community, all of which requires the engagement, participation, collaboration of community members and city officials and staff.
Karen, same question.
Thank you. I mentioned in my opening remarks how deeply I believe in the bright future of this community. And when I imagine what that bright future looks like and what people have access to in that future, I can see a thriving downtown and thriving commercial centers within our districts across the city, that those areas would be supported by 21st century transportation options, that they would have thousands more trees planted within those neighborhoods to protect people from urban heat island effect and add beauty and delight to their daily lives. I can see a future in which our economy is greener, where our wages, our living wages are accessible to people and our wages are higher, and where the partnerships among agencies within this community are stronger. Most importantly, in that future, our community feels better connected to one another. We feel as though this is actually the best place in the world to not only be living or building a business or raising a family or retiring or coming back to be with family. We feel that every day in the way we work together and in the way that we continue to build this community. And that's what I'm looking forward to working on.
Great, thank you all. So I have one more prepared question, and then we'll move to some questions from the audience. And as a reminder, if you have questions, let us know or on the cards. And then folks online, if you want to put something, let me see if I can see the chat, and I'll kind of open that up here. I think I see chat. Sorry, everybody. Oh, there we go. Okay. I'll monitor that as well. All right, so my last question, Shanae, we'll start with you. If elected, how will you measure success after 4 years as Eugene's mayor?
Thank you. Success as the mayor of Eugene would be that the vision that I've outlined today to address housing, health, economics, and safety needs are completed or moving in a forward direction. Data that shows increased community engagement as a result of a multifaceted approach to increase participation and restore trust, transparency, and accountability in our local governance is a sign of success. Knowing that the overall quality of life for all residents has been increased will also serve as an earmark that can surely be built upon. Also, knowing that I've created a blueprint for Eugene to be a model to address the public crisis of homelessness, lack of housing availability and affordability, dwindling public health options will serve as another indicator that the tireless work to move Eugene forward was in fact successful.
Karen, same question. If elected, how will you measure your success after 4 years as Eugene's mayor?
Thank you. 4 years is both a long time and not a very long time when thinking about the hopes that I have for what our community can accomplish in the years ahead. But in the coming 4 years, I would love for us to be looking back on having initiated a workforce housing campaign locally. I would love for us as a community to fully understand the opportunity that we have before us to build housing that meets our community's needs, that is aligned to what our community can afford, and that helps to support and provide a strong foundation for every part of this community and every household that wants to call Eugene home. I think that within 4 years, within even the first year and several months, I would love for people to actually feel an emerging sense of new trust and hope for what we are going to be able to accomplish together as a community. There are a lot of ways in which we can work together that I think I as mayor am uniquely suited to support. And I am very excited to see how we as a community can demonstrate that when we share concerns and are willing to take incremental steps and walk together into that future, we build momentum, and we're excited to tackle the next challenge that we face.
Thank you. Stefan, I'll have you wrap us up with our prepared questions. If elected, how will you measure success after 4 years as Eugene's mayor?
Number one for measuring success after 4 years is going to be, do people feel safe in their homes? That's number one. Eugene never used to be a place where people felt so insecure as they do today. People used to leave their doors unlocked. Now people are telling me they're considering moving out of town because when they wake up in the morning, there's people camped on their yard who are experiencing crisis and they feel like their children are at risk. So yeah, number one, just do people feel safe in their homes? And that also goes into financial security. I believe that, we should have a tax rebate for home repair for seniors. Like, do people have the security of knowing that if something's going wrong with their house, that they can deal with that? And, safety going out, because people don't feel secure in their homes if they don't feel secure leaving their homes. So addressing like the real crime and drug abuse that's going on downtown, and that won't happen unless it's actually talked about realistically and spoken up to say, we can fix that. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, we're gonna move to the questions from the audience here. And I try not to repeat anything that has already been touched on. We'll start with Karen on this one. We're gonna keep trying to do the same rotation here. So Karen, arts in Eugene generate $162 million each year. As mayor, how will you support this important sector?
Oh my goodness, such a rich history and so much energy that I think that carry us into the future. I was at the City Club program where recently our Arts and Business Alliance was talking about that economic impact of the arts in our community, and the mayor can support that work in a lot of different ways. Some of them are through sort of explicit projects, right? And being a champion for arts experiences and events that actually allow for all of our community in every neighborhood of people in every neighborhood of our community to feel connected with the arts. Some of that has to do with expanding programs and expanding participation and representation in our public arts programs. Some of that has to do with engaging neighborhood associations and thinking about the ways in which, as communities that are specific to geographic areas of our city, we can actually be a part of building the arts legacy in Eugene. I think that that's a wonderful opportunity for people to come together and also to connect with something that speaks to who we are as a whole and also our unique characteristics in different neighborhoods.
Great, thank you. Good timing. Stefan, we'll go to you next. Arts in Eugene generate $160 million each year. As mayor, how would you support this important sector?
I think that there's a lot more people who have artistic potential in Eugene than anyone could expect. So one of the things about having an art degree is that everybody asks, like, what does that mean? What does that involve? And, that kind of shows that people from, every business path, they have their own, artistic dreams. So I think that so far as how I'd facilitate that as mayor, I'd make the effort to, lead by example. Just, I'd be really happy actually contributing my own artistic vision, and that'd be cool to have people say, yeah, our mayor actually painted that mural over there. And that's, he's leading the, planning session, and other people can get involved and fulfill their potential too. Thank you.
Great. Shanae, same question. How would you support the arts sector in our community?
I love this question as a lover of the arts and a active supporter and patron of our art sector here. I would continue the work that I've already been doing. I sit as a member of the education committee for Jordan Central Museum, where I've supported unique programs such as Art Heals that actually provides therapeutic measures for those experiencing postpartum, for medical professionals, as well as those who are experiencing cancer diagnosis. I have worked with the whole center. I helped them launch their community conversations in order to engage with residents on the themes of many of the programs they presented. I was able to cultivate engagement with the community, identify those panelists, and moderate many of those conversations. I also, as a former program coordinator, have brought many youth and families into many of our art and cultural programs where they were able to attend without any financial barriers.
Great. What's your another question? So Stefan, we'll start with you. So what grade would you give the progress of the current city council and why?
Like I said, it's easy to be critical in the kind of impulsive moments, but they really have impressed me with just seeing how they really do look out for their own individual awards. And A for effort, absolutely. They're all really great people, and I do believe that just with a little bit of time and just some positive conversation, that can be an A+. They honestly, like, I think they're really agreeable people that each have their own individual talents and a lot of valuable life experience. And seeing them actually really work together versus, just, I'd be really surprised to see what we can do. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Karen, same question. What grade would you give what grade would you give the progress of the current city council and why?
Passing grade, graduate school. I think that the city council has been weighing a remarkable number of different issues and topics. They carry a lot of different topics in their agendas every week and every month. And those agendas are then quite full year round. When I think about what I look forward to working with our city council on, it's actually being able to focus and to identify a handful of policy areas that we want to see meaningful progress in as a community, and then have our public meetings and our time spent focused on specifically those issues. I think that the role of our city council and what's asked of those almost volunteers is not well understood, but I'm grateful for their service, and I'm grateful for the fact that they are also endorsing my campaign as a majority of our councilors. And I look forward to being a part of that work group and to what we're going to accomplish in the years ahead.
Great, thank you, Karen. Shanae, same question. What grade would you give to the progress of the current city council and why?
So I asked is letter grades or so my educator had to know what's the criteria. Well, I would think about in my experience as someone who's been evaluated as an educator. I would deem our current city council as effective, but there's definitely room for improvement. Serving as city leaders is not an easy task. It requires addressing so many complex issues and trying to meet the needs of so many people and so many opinions and perspectives. I believe that there's been some effort to work collaboratively, but there's greater efforts needed in order to reach out to community members so that they actually feel reflected in the decision-making and to feel that they have been heard by their community members and those that have been elected to lead them. I also believe that they have the hard task of providing some essential services, but it also requires them to do greater community engagement in their decision-making process.
Trying to keep these in order here. Remember my rotation. So I think we're Karin, starting with Karin. What kinds of initiatives can you champion to motivate and accelerate public investment in housing development?
To advance public investment in housing development. Thank you for asking. So we're in, I think, a very extraordinary time locally and as a state in Oregon, and that some of the work that we've done in this past several years is leading the nation in terms of how we are thinking about diversifying the supply of housing that is available within our communities, making sure that that housing is more affordable to people who live here, and that the housing that we are building is going to be climate resilient, right? And is going to be much better suited for the 21st century and the challenges that are coming. When I think about increasing public investments in housing, there are some really great examples nationally that I think we can look to around initiatives, specifically, as I mentioned, to support workforce housing development within communities. Why does that matter so much? That matters so much because if our concern is affordability and creating a place in which people want to invest and can invest, the affordability of a median home and making sure that homes are affordable to people who are earning median wages is incredibly important to our long-term sustainability as a community. And I keep running out of time.
Stefan, your same question. What kinds of initiatives can you champion to motivate and accelerate public investment in housing development?
It seems like there's a lot of room for adjustment with how we work with the urban growth boundary. For example, when people want to annex into the city, it's like $6,000. So, paving the way for future development, why don't we make it more cost effective for people who want to fold into the city? And protecting people within those expanded boundaries by offering a freeze on the tax rates for what they are pre-expansion for people in those areas. If the really necessary issue is to have access to new land for building, then that really needs to be the priority, and working towards that solution really should be addressed. So I think that's number one on that agenda, is just make the land available and make the necessary concessions to make that happen. Thank you.
So Shanae, what kinds of initiatives can you champion to motivate and accelerate public investment in housing development?
Thank you. I definitely believe there is a need for greater public-private partnerships in order to leverage some of our private sector resources. I also believe that there is a need to streamline some regulations to encourage more housing construction in our community. I also love to see land use policies that really reflect that we are prioritizing affordable housing construction in this community. And we definitely want to incentivize energy efficiency and sustainable housing development for many in our community.
Thank you. Another question here, starting with Stefan. New business recruitment is vital to economic growth. how will you as mayor encourage and support these initiatives? New business recruitment.
Business recruitment as in the businesses themselves or recruiting for businesses? All right, so far as recruiting new businesses, I think making the city more attractive is really just number one. I mean, if people see Eugene not just as some place that's doing things different, but a place where they're doing things different and it really works, that's going to attract new business. If we have a bus system that has greater functionality, I mean, that's part of being successful is knowing that your workers can get to work. I mean, if the buses don't run until 6 in the morning, but work starts at 6, there's clearly a conflict there that needs to be addressed. And so far as like just safety, I mean, people want to move to a new city and know that they don't have to worry about so much disruption in the community. So if we have the library actually be, working with real services to make sure that, youth get the assistance they need and it's not overused as that'd bring in more people. Just bus to the airport, make everything work better. Just basic services. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Shanae, same question. New business recruitment is vital to economic growth. How will you as mayor encourage and support these initiatives?
I think what I shared earlier as far as infrastructure investment to support the attraction of additional businesses. That includes making sure that we have a sufficient transit network that is ensuring that we have showed great investment into our technology and infrastructure. I think it also is important as a city that we launch marketing campaigns that highlight why we are such a great place to live and work in. It also will require us to make sure that we're enhancing our community's quality of life and that we have made great investments into our recreational spaces, our green spaces, and our cultural attractions to attract more business owners to this community.
Thank you. Question back, Karin. New business recruitment is vital to encourage economic growth. How will you as mayor encourage and support these initiatives?
Thank you. I mentioned a little bit earlier the importance of the mayor's work across all of the issues that impact livability and create a context which is delightful and compelling for people who are thinking about locating their businesses and investing that future in Eugene and in our community. When I think more specifically about the role of the mayor in that work, to be a person who can speak to the extraordinary community that this is, that can share my own decisions in raising a family here, the experience that we have in our parks and open spaces, these experiences that I've had working as a professional in this community, starting a business here. These are great touch points for people to have who are actually evaluating their decisions and thinking about the type of community and the type of place that they would be investing their resources and their futures in. I've said before, one of the responsibilities of the mayor is to be a champion for our city, to be a person who can always put our best foot forward and to do an excellent job of explaining to people just how extraordinary and remarkable this community is. And I think that I'm very capable of doing that because I live it every day.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna go to our online question. Shanae, we'll start with you on this one. If you were to be elected as mayor, how would you partner with local nonprofit organizations to create collaborative networks to improve the lives of Eugene residents?
Thank you for that question. I would say I would do the work that I've already been able to do in this community. As a program coordinator that served all of Lane County by serving all 16 school districts, which required me to connect with nonprofit organizations, the school districts, youth and families, in order to meet those needs. I have had that experience of working with United Way of Lane County, the NAACP, which were direct partners in our program, along with other nonprofits that have provided services. It is making sure that they are invited to the table and that they are invited and included to be part of our decision-making process when we're looking at providing the most essential needs and services of our community. I think that we need to continue to ensure that there are diverse perspectives and that it is reflective of collaborative decision-making as a city when we're trying to meet the needs of our residents.
Lauren, same question. I'll read it here. Sorry, everybody. If you were to be elected mayor, how would you partner with local nonprofit organizations to create collaborative networks to improve the lives of Eugene residents?
Thank you. I shared a little bit about this work a couple of weeks ago at the LGAC presentation, but in 2016, 2017, I started working on what was then a public interest project that has now grown into the independent nonprofit Better Housing Together. Better Housing Together is a local organization, a local independent nonprofit that is also the hub of a collective impact effort that has more than 50 partners across our nonprofit sectors and business organizations in this community to address our local housing crisis. So a question about how to partner with our nonprofit sector and across sectors on collaborative work. That is work that I've been doing for a decade in our community to great success. That work is how we accomplished the creation of Eugene's Affordable Housing Trust Fund that just the other day, that the committee that oversees that fund recommended another, I think, almost $25 million in new affordable housing. We wrote Lane County's first affordable housing action plan that lays out a path into the future. And we have mobilized to support some of the most progressive and effective new housing policies in the nation. We'll continue to do that work. It starts with context, understanding what we all want to work on in capacity, and then walking forward towards a shared vision of what we're going to accomplish together.
Thank you, Stefan. I'll read the last other question for you to
Appreciate it.
answer. If you were elected as mayor, how would you partner with local nonprofit organizations to create collaborative networks to improve the lives of Eugene residents?
Excellent. This question is something I've been addressing, and I think that really, truly, our library really should have an established network with local service providers like Looking Glass, Near Roads, and Whitebird to make sure that the library is clean and safe for people that are going there to, study and pursue knowledge. And the way that people go there for, help in crisis really should be recognized. And it'll be a lot more efficient, if there's just an office there where these service providers can operate out of, address the public issues and say, hey, the library is not a place to sleep. It's a place where people are going to get help because there's no place else to go. And that shouldn't be so difficult to address. So I think there's a lot of potential there to actually make a real, viable, working solution that makes the whole community better for everybody. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, we just have a couple more questions and then we'll go to your closing statement. So got two here. Karen, I'll start with you. Mayors across the West Coast are all concerned with homelessness. Is there a plan or would you support a plan to collaborate and find best practices to solve it?
Thank you for that question. It is true because the crisis of homelessness that we face in our community, while we have a unique profile here in Eugene and Lane County, this is a challenge that all cities across the West Coast are facing. And it's one of the reasons why some of the work that Oregon has done statewide is so important and so innovative, because we're actually looking to move as a state into the future. And that's an important way to shift context. There are opportunities, I think, for cities to connect together and to lead in this work. The Mayor's Innovation Project is one group and one touch point that I am excited to become a part of in the future, because I think that the ways in which our cities can lead and help to connect funding and resources at the state level, but also even nationally, this is important. And it's a great opportunity for us to seize the crisis that is before us to actually use it to accomplish many of our other goals, our climate goals, our equity goals, the goals we have in our community, just be a more sociable and livable place, right? All of that is possible as we tackle the housing crisis.
Thank you. Nice work on timing, you guys. Just gotta say.
The cards are very helpful.
It's very good. Stefan, same question. Mayors across the West Coast are all concerned with homelessness. Is there a plan or would you support a plan to collaborate and find best practices to solve it?
Well, absolutely, yes. That's pretty pretty shocking and a glaring issue. Like, for example, San Francisco doesn't have their famous trolley car anymore. I mean, that was an attractor. That was something that, people go to just do, is, have the fun experience. I remember that. But it says a lot that even a city with that much money has lost a really valuable public resource just because it simply wasn't safe to use anymore. That's what I've been told. Just downtown San Francisco is currently scary. So, yeah, like I've said, there's a lot of potential we have for collaboration and just utilizing the framework that we've got to make sure that people actually have access to services and just networking within the community to help expand the level of housing we've got. That's a top priority.
I absolutely can, Shanae. So mayors across the West Coast are concerned with homelessness. Is there a plan, or would you support a plan to collaborate and find best practices to solve it?
Absolutely. I believe that when we are able to collaborate, we're able to leverage resources and expertise in order to adequately respond to the crisis that exists, not just along the West Coast, it's national, where we see that many cities are trying to come up with creative ways, feasible ways in order to meet the housing needs of their community. I was on a webinar with some folks who are leading the charge in Houston, and we're helping some folks in New York address their housing crisis and what works for their community. I look forward to doing that collaboration with multiple cities, multiple leaders who have seen progress in that work, and even looking at what the National League of Cities have put out to address housing crisis. And so I believe that collaboration is needed. It is that collaborative impact model that we see the greater return on investment when we're working together and working collaboratively.
Great, thank you. Yeah. Great job with the timing, you guys. Okay, this is softball. This is my last question that I have up here as kind of a softball question. So, and then we'll go to your closing statements. And we will start with, let's see, Stefan. Stefan, what have you learned about yourself or the community as this election has unfolded?
Well, it means a lot to see so many familiar faces. It's really a smaller town than you'd think, and I'm really impressed with the amount of interest that everybody has this year in the political process. There's a lot of real, genuine concern, and I've learned a lot about my own goals, my own priorities. This is I really learned a lot in the past 4 elections. This is number 5, and learning what everybody cares about in each different constituency. It's been an eye-opener. It's been a valuable learning experience that really can't be matched by anything. No amount of research, money, just surveys. There's just time and experience in different categories of real people. So it would mean a lot to me to actually just learn more about what everyone here really individually prioritizes. And I'm sure you're all very creative, interesting people with really big vision for the future. And I hope to help you work towards that. Yeah.
Thank you. Shanae, what have you learned about yourself or the community as this election has unfolded?
Great question. What I would start off by saying what I've learned about myself is that I have the great tenacity to continue the work that I've done previously, countywide, and being able to centralize it locally to the city specifically. That it takes persistence, it takes compassion, it takes humanity in order to adequately respond to the needs of the community. What I've learned from this community is that people care. People care about where they live and where they play, and where they're raising their children in this community. I've also learned that people just want to be heard. They want to feel that they are being listened to and that their views and perspectives are being considered and that they're actually respected. And people are ready for actionable steps to adequately address some of the crises that we are facing and recognizing that they're all interconnected and that it actually requires collaboration to adequately respond to the needs of our community members.
Thank you. All right, Karen, maybe this one last. What have you learned about yourself or the community as this election has unfolded?
What I've learned about myself is that I really enjoy knocking on doors. I actually really enjoy the experience of talking with people on their doorstep on Saturday or Sunday mornings. I love meeting people's dogs. I love it when their cats run out the door and then come back. And I have been absolutely delighted and inspired by the ways in which people have been so open when a person knocks on their door, introduces themselves, says, I want to be sure that you know that there is an election coming up, and I want to talk with you about what you care about this community, what you're concerned about. And the ways in which people open their hearts with that simple entree has been absolutely inspiring. Before the end of the year of 2023, I made it a goal to knock on doors in every city council ward of our community because I wanted to begin 2024 knowing that I knew what people in all different areas of our community were thinking about the future. I've knocked on almost 600 doors myself, and I think I'm working into my second 1,000 business cards that I'm handing out. Why am I mentioning those numbers? Because again, I actually think that numbers matter. There are a few things you can measure, like am I actually spending time with people, talking with people, reaching people? And I've loved that. And I've loved what the community has shared through that process.
Great, awesome. All right, we're at that time where we're going to have each of you provide us with your 2-minute closing statement. Shanae will start with you, and then Karin and Stefan, you can take us home, okay? So go ahead.
All right. So again, I want to thank the Chamber for this opportunity to come before you and share some of my ideas, my platform and visions and views for the City of Eugene. I want you to know that as future mayor, that I am a person who leads with empathy, who leads with compassion. I believe that it's so important that when we are enacting policies and ordinances that will affect people, that we need to bring back humanity into our policies and processes for this community. We know that we are the crux of facing so many crises that are colluding together, but it's going to take us addressing them connectively, collaboratively, in order for us to be able to respond to meet the needs of so many of our youth, young adults, and families who are struggling day to day to live here. Eugene should be a place that everyone feels that they have a stake in this community and that their voice is being heard and that they're represented in our governance. I want you to know that you have a mayor that will work so tirelessly to collaborate with you all in here who are business owners, but those who are outside of these four walls, in order for us to tackle the housing crisis, the need to address our climate goals, the need to address youth and education opportunities, workforce development, and increase our economic growth. And so I thank you all for your opportunity to be here, to speak my truth, to speak my heart, and share what has been on the hearts and minds of those that I've been able to connect with, reach out to, and also reach out to me to say that they are ready for a change and they're ready for us to ignite a pathway to greater prosperity in this community. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. All right, Karin.
Hi, thank you all again online and here in the room for joining us early this morning. On May 21st, you need to have your ballots returned, and I hope that you will vote for Karin Knudsen to be the next mayor of Eugene. I would be truly honored to have this responsibility, and I'll do my absolute best to work for our community's improvement and its betterment every day. As a local architect, I can tell you for this past 20 years, I've been focused on sustainable urban design, coalition building, and addressing our housing crisis. And this is critical, relevant context to the work that we have ahead in these next few years. We have such opportunities before us, but we have serious work and important work to do. And I'm both prepared for and excited about what we can accomplish in this next chapter. I also come to this work from outside of politics, but I think it is remarkable that my campaign has been able to build such a broad and deep base of support all across this community. I'm endorsed by our current mayor, as well as all of our former mayors, as well as our city council majority, and truly what I'm so proud of, more than 200 community leaders all across Eugene. People who've been working on this community and for its best future for decades, and they see the potential that we have in this next chapter to meet the challenges that we're facing and to walk together into this brighter future. I am so humbled and honored to have their support, but I'm especially encouraged by what they believe that we can accomplish by working together, and that they are excited for us to actually organize as a community, have difficult conversations, but also find ways to move together into the future. That is work that I've been doing with housing advocacy in this community for a decade. And I know that we can accomplish a lot more in these years ahead. So I humbly request your vote. I hope that you will be engaged in this election and in steering your local representative democracy this year. And I will do my very best to be a great mayor for the city of Eugene. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, Stefan, you got 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Well, once again, my name is Stefan Streck, and thank you everybody for coming down here today. It's really impressive seeing how everyone's just visibly motivated to see the full potential of our city realized. I gotta push the website. That's www.celebrateeugene.com. And I really do think that we can make Eugene a real hub city that gets people who work in companies all over the country to come here and invest, with a active airport, with a real transportation system that's easily accessible. I believe we can clean up the sanitation issues downtown and make it a place that is really attractive and pleasant to work, and a place where people feel safe going out and realizing the potential of our city, just to have positive, bright mornings and pleasant evenings. I fully have all confidence that our library could be an excellent facilitator to work with local resources and make sure that none of the homeless kids on the street are at risk, and that the homeless people, senior citizens, actually get the attention that they deserve and aren't just forgotten on the corner like second-class citizens. I mean, everybody deserves to be a first-class citizen in this country. And Eugene really can be that example. I've spent so much time telling people all over the world, really, that our city is amazing. It's a great place to come and make things, and there's really, truly, there's great ideas here. There's great lifestyle innovation, and I hope that we can all work together on that. That's celebrateeugene.com, and I hope we can bring back the Eugene celebration. Thank you all for being here.
All right, well, thank you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you, candidates, not just for being here and sharing your vision for Eugene, but for putting yourself out there to run for office. That is incredibly bold, and without folks like you who are willing to step up and walk door to door and do all of those things, it's got to be the toughest interview process for the job that's out there. So really, very big thanks for all of you. I want to point out that you all have this sitting on your chair. We put together our voters guide for this year's May primary election. So I encourage you all to go and check out, and we have some great information that came directly from the candidates, and we have all of the scores from the process that we all went through to score all of our candidates and our nonpartisan local races. So encourage you to read those and use them in making your decisions on May 21st. And please, please, please vote. Next week, we're going to have our Ward 2 candidate forum. And then the next week after that, we're getting close to election season being over, but we'll have a star voting presentation. And so please join us for those. And with that, we'll thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
I'm gonna end the meeting.